everyone. This is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and we've got Dr. Brandon Nielsen back in the house.
In the house.
Look,
in the house.
I'm higher than you. What is up with that?
Oh, I don't know. How is that possible?
Maybe you need to bring your chair up. Anyway.
You need to scoot it back?
Oh, no, you're perfect. Okay, so
there we go.
We are excited to be with you again today. It's been a while, and I realized when we set up this date to come and record some videos that it's been 10 years since we've been doing videos together.
That's a while.
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
So when you first came and I first met you, you had 2 kids, and now you have 5 kids. And you were just telling me this morning that your youngest daughter had a little gymnastics recital.
Oh, so cute.
She's 4. And
4 years old.
And it was like, that's so cool. So
yes, cool. I know, that's crazy. That's amazing.
Well, and I think one of the things that you said, which I think is really important for people to remember, is that time goes really fast. And the only thing that makes your life, this journey, are these moments. And
yes.
The moment you had with your daughter and the love you felt, that's one thing I've always really loved about you, is how heart-centered, how family-oriented. Like, we've had videos over the years where you'll tell me a story, like one about your grandma, and you're crying. Because you're such a sensitive heart, you know?
Well, I love people. Like, what I realize is just even more and more, just not, I mean, with my kids, they've taught me so much, but just the ability to connect with people, like, take it all away. And what do you have? It's all about connection and relationships. And,
I totally agree.
You know, I know you know that, but so, like, for me to come here, this is very important. You know, I have 5 kids, I have a practice, I have business, I'm an entrepreneur, and it's kind of like you only have so much time, and so but those relationships that I have are so important. And so anyways.
Well, I'm grateful we do this, because I'm the same. My life is busy, but it's like this is a good remembrance to take time to nurture the connections that mean something to you. And for me, it's the people who vibrate energetically the same as I do.
And that's a key point, because I know people who are watching this, what's interesting is I've talked to people over the years, they come up to me and they're like, oh, I saw this video. I'm like, I have no clue who you are, but I know it's not the best connection, but there's still this connection and just a sense of love that we have for you people.
100%.
You know? So anyways.
Yes. Okay, so I have some questions. He doesn't know anything about these questions, but I thought it'd be really fun.
We'll see.
So we could spend an hour doing these. So let's do kind of rapid fire.
Okay.
So this is rapid fire. Okay, we've been doing these videos together for over a decade. Do you remember the very first episode we filmed and what you thought you were getting into back then?
Very first episode. I actually don't remember the first episode, but I just remember, I think I remember the first time I came down here to Sandy, and I just remember thinking that was cool. Like, I felt like we did some good things, and I guess maybe all of them have been lumped into that first video of we just shared light and truth, and hopefully we made a difference. I do kind of remember the first time, though. I remember the first time I met you, though, at a seminar, and she had her Barlow Herbal products, and I won the raffle so she had this test kit, and I talked to her and just kind of, I was like, who's this lady at a seminar? Because there's not very many ladies, there's not very many vendors, and I remember talking to you, and I was like, oh, this lady actually knows some stuff. I'm gonna be honest, right? And then I was like, oh, she's really cool. Like, wow, that was cool. Like, she has really cool products, and I loved her story about, you know, this herbal company and her dad and different things. And I won this test kit, you know, for muscle testing, and this test kit. Anyways, so then I remember she kind of invited me down, and hey, we should do a video. I was like, I think that would be cool. Let's do it.
Well, we met at the conference was, I think, in Boise, Idaho.
Boise.
And then we realized we both lived in Salt Lake.
Right.
And then it was just like, you know, you have an instant connection with some people. And for you and I, it was just like, oh, like-minded. I don't think I realized that 10 years later, we'd still be doing this. I mean, you really, I mean, it makes sense, but it makes sense because we both make an effort. If you don't hear from me for a while, for a long time, it was me reaching out. Hey, Brandon. And I think the last couple times, it's so sweet. You reached out and said, hey, it's been a while. Well, it's been a wild year for me.
Just do wild stuff.
A wild year.
And they're kind of like, oh, I need to make sure that Jane knows that I haven't forgotten her. We need to do some videos, and
Yeah.
like I say, that there's a select group of people who I kind of consider family, and so I
Yeah.
make sure that we keep in contact. And so it's cool. You know, it's
I
cool to
love it.
see where it's gone in 10
Mhm.
years.
No,
So,
I love it. You know what? I just realized one of the biggest
what's-
things is that you had no gray hair.
but I still have my hair. How's
Oh,
that?
you got every bit of your hair. Are you kidding?
But no, seriously, like if we were to look back, that'd be funny if you can find that video.
No,
It's
it's on
like,
there. It's on the
oh,
channel.
wow, yeah,
It's on the
like
channel.
pretty. I mean, very little gray hair.
I'll try to put a link to it. I'm not exactly sure how to do that, but there's well, I know how to put a link in the show notes, but it's the name of the video is my very first guest.
Oh, that's cool.
Because you were my first, otherwise it was just me as a talking head.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
That's pretty cool.
So when you look back over the years, what are the biggest shifts you've seen in the natural health world? Okay, so let's go a little quicker with it because I got a ton of questions.
Okay, so I mean the biggest thing in 10 years, COVID.
Yeah.
And just I think there is an awakening of people really there's so much people are seeking now true health and their
Yeah.
true self and looking for people call it alternative, but it's actually real answers to health.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. The modern medicine model should be the alternative.
it is, and
Yeah.
I see that more and more people are shifting in the last 10 years. Oh my goodness, what a huge shift!
Massive.
Massive. I mean, it's like COVID. I think was a if we call it a pandemic, there was such though an awakening, and it kind of backfired, if you will,
on the powers that be that put it, of course.
and
yes.
it's been such God always takes every opportunity and makes it great. So
Always. Okay, so what's one health trend you secretly hoped would not catch on and one you wish people paid more attention to?
health trend that wouldn't catch on.
So what's one health trend you
Yeah.
secretly hoped would not catch on?
The weight loss industry, like Ozempic and trizepatide, all that stuff. People, and that's a health trend that's people have constantly looked for the silver bullet. In health, there's no such thing as a silver bullet. It's hard work. It's consistency.
Yeah.
It's like where I am today, 3 years later, like with my body and workout and my flexibility. It takes time. It's work, to get something that you really want. There's not it. And even if you take something for weight loss that's super quick, it doesn't last. It's short-lived.
Well, not just that. I think that there's so many layers to something like weight loss. The emotional layer, and then the processed food and the addiction to. I mean, there's so many layers to that. But
and there is one
I would have
other
said that
thing.
one too.
There is one other thing is that I didn't want to see this day that's here right now, but it also creates an opportunity is how much people are being influenced by opposition. And I would say even like voices in their head that are controlling them to do bad things.
Okay.
It's
That sounded a little cryptic. Maybe just give me a.
Well,
like
you're going to see this more and more, Jane, and you know this, but there's going to be so many more evil doings, murderers and mass murderers,
Okay.
and it's going to happen more and more. And people think, oh, it's just that guy was bad. And it's like, there's much more to that. There's evil influence that's happening. You ask people what's happening inside their head. It's like the lady the other day my wife told me about. She's like, the lady, she said, if I didn't stab that mom in a changing room, then they were going to kill me. Who's they? The voices in her head. And it's happening more and more and more, and you're going to see that. And so more than ever, you need to get straight with God.
Yes. Okay. That was cryptic. So thank you for clarifying.
It was cryptic.
Okay. So now I'm going to move into a couple questions
Okay.
About health things. Okay. So brain fog and your mood. Okay. So brain fog is something we hear about constantly. What do you see as the most overlooked causes?
Stealth infections.
Okay.
Now that's something that you're not going to hear talked about, but this is something that I've really been clinically researching lately, and that's these infections that will get like as a child, let's say strep or staph, and they'll never really be fully taken care of. I almost compare it like we take this infection, we kind of deal with it, but we put it on shelf because life is so busy. We just kind of put it on the shelf and put it in the storage room, It's like, and we don't really ever fully deal with it. And that's what I'm seeing a lot with brain fog is these infections, then that when they're not taking care of you, your immune system kind of gets rampant. So then you get autoimmunity, which is classic for brain fog. And then you're going to see a ton of allergies, food allergies, environmental toxins, all these things where we become allergic and our immune system becomes ramped up. And then oftentimes you'll see there's many things with brain fog, also with blood sugars and different things. But I would say the biggest thing that I've really been focusing on lately are stealth infections.
Okay. If you could have everyone add just one daily habit for better brain performance, what would it be?
Exercise. The biggest thing, and not just
I love that.
probably
And I agree with
exercise,
that.
because and build up to start out walking, but build up to something where you're actually doing vigorous, your heart is up, you're actually doing exercise. In fact, there's just a recent study barely that just came out about vigorous exercise, even moderate exercise, compared to just but I started out years ago just walking, and then
easy.
one day
Almost
I
everyone
wanted
could
to
do that.
run. You can, and that's still better than none. But it takes you, what's interesting is, and this is where I don't want people to falter and say, well, then I'm just not going to do anything. No, start with walking.
Yeah.
But they're showing now, even this vigorous exercise, how much it reduces dementia, cardiovascular disease, stroke, all these different things with vigorous intensity.
Well, we're meant to move.
We're meant to move.
And circulation, oxygenation to the brain, memory, but then full body, all the stuff.
So I would say motion. For the mom who has 5 kids, motion, vacuuming. She's doing cleaning, taking care of kids. That is motion. She's constantly getting exercise.
Totally true.
Do it to what you can do, but it's so important to move. My grandma, who's 101, still alive,
so cool.
101, still going. Movement. Now, in the past couple of years, she hasn't moved as much, and I'm starting to see her decline. So she's going to die pretty soon because she stopped moving. So movement in the form of, if you can, vigorous, if you can't, moderate, if you can't, just do movement.
Well, and then sometimes when you get to be 101, it might be okay that you don't move as much as you used to.
She almost died on Thanksgiving, and she's still here. So like 3 weeks ago,
We've
she
been
almost
talking
died.
about your grandma for a lot since the beginning.
You talk about centurions, like what does she do? Like moves. She
go.
exercises. Her movement was yard work.
I love yard work too.
Yeah, and she gets out there to hunt. So, anyways,
at the end of my street, there are 2 sisters who are in their late 70s who they board horses.
Oh.
And they're out there on their 5 acres with all these horses, and they're feeding them hay. And
right.
In fact, here's a crazy story. One of them, her name is Lori. They love to go to central Utah and check on the wild horses, and they have them cataloged. They when they name them, they take pictures of them. They just love horses. Well, they were down in southern Utah about a month ago, and Lori, who's 78, was out on her 5th wheel, out in the middle of nowhere by herself, and the 5th wheel rolled over on top of her.
Oh my gracious.
And you know what she told me? So she had to get herself out from under it. She thought she was going to have to pull an Aaron Ralston. So remember that guy, Aaron, who was in a slot canyon?
Oh, yes, I do.
Who had to cut off his own arm to get released?
Yes.
So she's telling me this story. She's got all slinged up. She walked 1.5 miles to find her sister.
Oh my goodness.
After she eradicated herself out of this. And then they took her to the hospital. She spent 10 days in the hospital, and she spent a month in assisted care in physical therapy. So when I saw her, she was just out of that, right? And I was like, she's telling me this whole story, and she said, I can't wait to get back on my 5th wheel. So it just reminded me of our bodies are meant to move. And these are healthy, fit, vibrant women who understand, and this is where they get their joy.
Right.
So
it's interesting you say that. Yeah. I have a patient. She's like, she rides horses. She said, and it kind of beats her up a little bit. And she said, should I stop? And I said, no, keep doing it. And maybe you can't ride as hard, but keep active, keep moving.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love that. Okay. So what's a myth about brain supplements or neuro hacks that really needs debunking?
A myth.
Let's see how long we've been going.
A myth, are we okay?
Yeah, 14 minutes.
A myth about brain supplements?
Yeah, so what's a myth about brain supplements or neuro hacks that really needs debunking? Is there just one in particular? And
Boy.
you don't even have to expand on it. Just maybe put that on people's radar.
Um, here's something that people say is, and it depends on where you're coming from, but a lot of people say with um, doing affirmations, they don't work.
Oh.
They actually do work. I
Heck
know
yeah.
not your crowd, but that
You are
needs
right.
debunking. It does.
Yeah.
There's ways you
I
can do it on
agree.
different levels, but I would say that's one of the biggest things, especially for the medical world, is that it doesn't work. It's a placebo. And it's kind of like, but it does, because now they're actually starting to show it does. And it doesn't just happen on just like a brain level, it happens on a whole body level. And you don't just affect you, you actually affect other people. So,
Well, and we call that quantum entanglement.
right. And so
So,
as far as that goes, like with brain supplements, different things, I would have to debunk that though. Like I know this community knows, but I would have to say that it works, and brain supplements do work. They're phenomenal. Um,
it's the mindset.
but
That's what
you
needs,
have
that's
a
the myth, right?
mindset, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it
That's a good
really
one.
works. So
I actually really love that because there are a lot of really important, good brain nootropic
oh yeah,
supplements and herbs, and we
absolutely.
talk about this all the time.
Right.
So, okay. So the next section is questions is sleep and stress.
Okay.
What is it that people do? Why is it that people do all the right things and still can't sleep? What lies underneath that?
So the most thing that I've seen in clinical practice is that people generally have a fight or flight response. So they actually can't shut off their amygdala, and they've never trained themselves. So sleep, sometimes you actually have to create a pattern. Just like if you're, let's say, hitting a baseball. My son plays baseball. It took him time to develop a proper swing. Most of us don't think sleep comes automatic. Well, some people it doesn't. You actually have to retrain yourself to sleep. But one of the biggest things you have to get back is go back to that point of not sleeping, find out what that was that caused you to go into a fight or flight response, and then break that. And whether it be through motion, whatever, that's a whole different thing. But that's a big thing for sleep, is they're staying in a fight or flight response, and that's basically anxiety during the day.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so your thinkers, my patients who are really thinkers and they get stuff done a lot with their brain and they have to think it through, they have to learn how to calm their brain, their thoughts, and retrain themselves how to sleep. I know it kind of sounds funny, but they have to
No,
retrain
it
themselves.
sounds perfect because everyone thinks all the right things are, so I don't watch TV 2 hours. I make sure I don't eat close to bedtime. I make sure my
Right.
room is dark and cool and quiet.
Sometimes you have to retrain.
Yeah, I like
But
that.
there's usually something or things that have happened along the way that are causing you to stay in an angst or a fight or flight type response.
Right. Okay. So you use both structural adjustments and natural therapies.
Oh yeah.
What surprises patients most about how the nervous system controls sleep?
What surprises?
What surprises your patients the most? If you, because you give, I mean, a structural adjustment.
Yeah, I think that surprises them the most, I would think kind of what we're talking about is how much they've come out of a natural pattern. They've almost broken out of a natural pattern. The natural pattern is to sleep. Mm-hmm. They've actually created a pattern of stress. So what's interesting, like a structural adjustment, is actually going to help restore nerve integrity. And then the emotional adjustment, if we call that, is going to restore nerve integrity as well, and a proper pattern. All that's happened, all you have to look at is people have just kind of gone on a different path, mm-hmm. and we just need to bring them back to that path of health.
Perfect. I like that. Okay, what are your 5 favorite herbs or natural tools for calming the body down at night? I'll chime in if I need
for
to.
Sleep. Mm-hmm. I use quite a bit of homeopathics for sleep. Right. There's a product out of Germany. It's called Norexin.
Norexin?
Yeah, I like chamomilla.
Do you have those on your store?
I believe I do.
Okay, I'll put a link below.
Or chamomile homeopathic is one of those. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I like Ignatia Amara and then Coffea cruda. So I use Ignatia Amara, Coffea cruda, and the 9C. And that's to help people kind of calm down. Now, as far as the herb side, I like there's a product out of Russia, and it was called Phenabut, I believe they call it. They don't sell it anymore, but it was
Peanut
actually,
butter. That
and we
sounds
can't
awesome.
get it anymore.
Mm.
And I really like that. Of course, anything that's going to calm you down. Sometimes I'll use like L-theanine. For each person, it's different. Sometimes I'll use something like, I use a whole host. Like there's one that's called Serenogen that I use to kind of calm the whole soul down. As far as individual herbs, that's kind of complicated because there's several that I like.
There's so many, right?
Yeah, you chime in and tell me as far as herbs.
Well, you know, like I always love valerian. You know,
Valerian
that's one of my
root.
favorite. Blue vervain is a good one. And then I like some calming adaptogenic herbs.
Okay.
Not ones
Because
that.
I was kind of thinking that Serenogen it's an adaptogenic
Yeah,
complex. And what I see is with sleep, again, if you can have the person calm
Yeah, just
during the day, then generally
balance
they
their
can calm
hormones.
at night.
I agree.
Um,
No, those are some good things. I'll put us. You might need to rewatch this to get some of the products that you talked about, but that's
yeah,
okay. Just
I
rewind a
could
little bit
I
there.
could put some on there more. I'm trying to think. Sometimes I sell them more of a combination, but those are some of the things that I used off the top of my head.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this actually really reminds me that people, we're all different, and if you can
Yeah.
find a practitioner, you know, a natural doctor, someone like Dr. Nielsen in your area, where you can have a relationship with them, and they can teach, they can not only muscle test you, but they can literally design something that is exactly perfect for you.
Yeah,
You know.
I think with sleep too, one of the things that I'll oftentimes exactly look at is adrenal glands, kind of that
Yep. Yep.
the adrenal glands, the ability, and the
Yeah.
liver, especially getting the person be able to calm and have proper digestive function during the evening and the night so that they can actually have a calm night.
I love that.
So,
No, that's perfect. Okay, so we're going to swap to metabolism and weight.
okay.
3 questions. What do you wish people understood about metabolism that almost nobody gets right?
The old notion that if if you don't have enough calories, then your body's gonna, like if you go on a diet, that you're gonna gain it all back.
Mm-hmm.
People have been going on caloric restriction since Adam. I mean,
Well, sometimes by force
by
because
force, and you don't
yeah,
gain it all back. You gain it all back if you go back to the same pattern.
right.
And so, no, you don't gain it all back. That is probably the biggest thing that needs to be debunked. That people always said, "Oh, if you don't eat enough and you go on caloric restriction, then after you're done, you're going to gain it all back." Well, no, the point is this: learn how to do caloric restriction or not overeating, and then actually start to eat, but maybe not as much. Because if you go back to your old or old ways, then of course you're getting all back, right?
Yeah.
Your body is a storage machine. It's supposed to store. It's constantly storing.
Right. Exactly
So
right.
I think that would be a big thing with metabolism is you're not going to mess up your metabolism by doing a diet and then saying, that used to be the classic notion of the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Oh, you're going to gain it all back and more.
Don't you think it's all part of the propaganda to keep us stuck in these loops? And
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Our bodies were made to store. Absolutely. You're going to, of course, want to gain it all back, but you have to still follow a plan.
And you can't like fill your grocery cart with Doritos and Ding Dongs.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Okay, so so you see so many patients who have tried everything. What's the missing piece you find most often with weight loss?
The emotional component.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay.
The mindset. I mean, that's again like their whole mindset is if I do this, then I'm gonna have to do this forever. It's like, no, you're not. You do this, get in a state of health, and then keep being healthy. But people think that every single day of my life I eat healthy. No, I don't. It's Christmas. I'm going to be able to enjoy my kids. My kids have candy sometimes. Oh no. I'm there's a balance. I don't have them restrict so hard that, behind my back they feel like they have to go and no, we enjoy, we eat healthy. It's really interesting. My wife, she cooks all our meals.
I love that.
It's phenomenal. Like, kind of like old fashioned. In our house, it's old fashioned. She makes breakfast. She makes lunch.
We're moving toward that. There's a
Yeah.
mass movement of
There
people doing
is.
that. Yeah.
And so we eat healthy, and then guess what? We'll go out to dinner. Hey, do you guys want to celebrate? Guess what? You guys get ice cream. Oh, it's a treat.
No, I love.
If it's not, then it's not a
Right.
treat. It's a constant. It's an always, right? So there is a lot of restriction in our home, and they know that, but the treat becomes that much more fun.
Yeah. 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 No,
And
that's
is not
perfect.
God's law set up with restriction?
Well, it is. It, of course, but it's also, I think
Right.
we're here to experience and enjoy.
And we experience and
And
enjoy.
I always, I've mentioned this through several different videos over the years. One of my favorite things to eat is birthday cake or
Oh,
wedding cake.
yeah.
Now, there used to be a bakery in Salt Lake called Glouses. It was a French bakery. They went out of business in 2020.
Okay.
They were in business for 75 years, but they used to make my favorite birthday cake. And every birthday, I would get this cake and I would just overindulge in it. And I loved every
And
bite
that
of it.
happened once a year.
Once a year.
Right.
So, and I never felt guilty. I never got a stomach ache. It was just like, this is
So much
sheer
fun.
heaven in a
Right.
forkful. And even then, what I would do,
love
because
it.
sometimes I'd get a big one, and I would have a party of people, and then there's always a chunk left over sitting on the tray or whatever, and I would get a fork after most people had left, and I would start eating it right off of the cake.
I love it.
Like, I haven't done that actually for a while because this bakery went out of business.
Sure.
But it might be time on this next birthday to find another bakery.
So things like that emotionally, I feel like are
Yes.
so rewarding.
It's healthy. That's a
And-
healthy way to
Right. And
to
you
look
don't
at
have
it.
to overindulge.
Yeah.
Or maybe you do once a year, but you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's so for me, I think we're completely unbalanced in my family, meaning we're completely unbalanced in the fact that we try to eat all home cooked meals, healthy, healthy, healthy. And then once in a while we eat out. And that's
Yeah.
not, I'm saying unbalanced. I've just learned you can't
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
balance, but that is our balance. And the scale is this, like, right? I mean, if it's scale,
Yeah,
we're all
yeah.
the way down here, healthy
Yeah.
meals. And then once in a while we eat this one little, right?
And but then you enjoy it, and you
Enjoy
love
it.
someone cooking for you and bringing it out. You don't have to do the dishes, and
Right.
there's such a heightened enjoyment when you make moments like that
Yes.
into what they really should be.
Seriously. So
Okay, so there's one more in the let's see. Okay, so in the weight thing, how do you combine structural care, herbs, and lifestyle to create whole body metabolic change? So
say that again. How do I
how do you combine
Mm-hmm.
structural care,
Okay.
herbs, and lifestyle to create whole body metabolic changes? So how do you I know that's a big question.
Kind of holistic weight loss is what it is. So we talked about the motion already. If you're still on here, we talked about movement, right? Movement and being active.
Right.
And then what's nice is there are some herbs that do help speed up metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to truly lose weight loss and be at your desired weight, right? Well, the first thing I'd back up about this with weight, okay? And this is what I've learned now of being in practice for all these years, over 20 years, is the number one thing that people with weight loss don't do is they don't accept their self just the way they are.
Yeah.
All of it, all of the weight, whatever.
I like that you brought that up.
And they're constantly trying to get rid of their self. And it's generally they don't have motive enough to do it. So here's the thing with weight loss. If you want to succeed in weight loss, number one, you have to have a mindset. Okay. Number two is I know you're not going to have the mindset, so you've got to have somebody you can do it with. And if it's a coach or a mentor or somebody or a friend
or a spouse,
but you have to do it with somebody else. Don't do it alone. And then number three, then I would say using certain herbs, getting things kind of right, because you can do it without those other things. But then when you really start to look at and get like a blood lab and say, okay, what is going on with my liver? Okay, what is going on with my red blood cells, my white blood cells, my kidneys and all my organs, glands, tissues. That's kind of the third thing. But I would say like structurally, it's kind of the mindset first, and then the accountability with someone, and then go into the components of the biochemistry, and then kind of your structural.
No, I like that. And I actually really love what you said when you're trying to get rid of yourself. Like that seemed really profound, because I think what happens is we're in a culture, and have been for decades, where there's a self-loathing.
Yeah.
When you're a little out of sorts in your body, and we're this culture where we still see all the things on social media. We still see people on, in the movies and on TV and all this stuff. And I think the body image thing is changing a little bit, but we're still so hard on ourselves. We don't love, we don't love who we are, regardless of where this physical avatar is. This is a temporary
It
It's
is
a temporary thing, and it's important to take care of it so we
so
can have the
true.
best experience, not so that we can look the best in those jeans. Like, that doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So, okay, we could
So I'll tell
obviously,
you one thing with this.
yeah.
I know it's going long, but people who like chew themselves, chew their fingernails, pick at themselves, you're literally picking at yourself. You're chewing
Yeah.
yourself, you're eating it. So when people don't accept themselves, all of it, and try to get rid of themselves, there's a different way to go about it. So being able to mindset, first of all, completely understand that all of you is amazing. And as you're able to let go of that weight, let it go, because you love yourself.
Right. Yeah,
Okay?
I love that. Like,
So-
that really jumped out at me. Okay, so I'm going to actually save this next group
Yeah.
because I know we could do whole videos on them.
Okay. Let's do it.
So, okay. So now I'm going to move to this, okay? These are modalities and tools of the trade, because I know you're like you love the gadgets for natural healing and all the stuff. And I just want to kind of, it's been a while since I've seen you. We've talked about this kind of stuff. Okay. So I would assume that you've added a lot of therapies to your practice over the years. Okay. So let's say in the last 10 years, okay? Things like ozone, light therapy, different things. What's the newest tool that genuinely surprised you with its results? Or it doesn't have to be the newest just this year, but like, what's the thing that surprised you the most? Like,
actually a tool, and what's interesting is I kind of went through more things, and now I'm kind of getting away and trying to simplify into the things that work.
I like that.
Rather than, ozone. Yes, we've done that, and we still do that, and injections have been phenomenal. Homeopathic injections have been phenomenal. And like the whole, I've talked a lot about it, but the whole homeopathic world. But one of the things that I've really been working on, because I'm trying to look like, okay, let's say 10 years from now or 20 years from now, what if we don't have access to all these great herbs that Jane makes? What if I don't have access to homeopathic? What if I don't have access? What do we have in our body? What points do we have? How can we still be healed? Because if this truly is the healer inside of us through God, how do we access that? How do we tap into that? And I believe that's where my biggest shift has been, even in the last probably 2 years after COVID, is really focusing in on what are points and what are things that we can do if I can't do a blood lab. What can I do if I don't have a light therapy? What's inside of somebody already, and how can I awaken the healer within? And that's where I've been focusing. I've really been focusing. Just this morning, I'm focusing right now on a point. I'm asking. When I ask, meaning asking God, I'm asking Heavenly Father, where are the points on the body that I can help somebody be able to detox from heavy metals? I know all the infection points. Tony Smith did a ton of work on that. Infection points, but autoimmunity. So I'm working on points with autoimmunity. I'm working on points with allergens, meaning points on the body. So for example, your bones are off, or your bones are a classic area for storage of heavy metals. So I've been looking, okay, so where is that? Where is bone marrow made? So I've been asking, like, bone marrows are made in the spongy bones. So I've really been asking, where are these points at in the body that we can be able to change the body, get that on the right track, and then add the supplement if we have it. But if we don't, can we still make a change and excite the body? Kind of like what I say, awaken the healer within. And that's my biggest thing, is where I've been focusing my focus, my energy. That's just this morning when I was my journals, I'm like, when I start, I'm like, okay, what do I need to know? What do I need to know? What do I need to know? And there's things that we're developing to be able to do that. And then we put on top of that your amazing supplements and say, okay, now in addition to this, you're going to take the mycoside with the lomatium or whatever it be. And then what I've seen, Jane, is now those herbs and the homeopathics, nutritional supplements are working so much better.
Yeah, because I believe we have a total healing
We
pharmacy within us.
We do.
In fact, there's a very famous Dutch study, and there's actually many of them, but one of them is on, of course, because it's not even like the placebo, but it kind of is like what you're talking about. But there's a study where they took, I think it was 12 or maybe it was 24. They took all these people that needed the same surgeries, like an ACL repair on their knee. And
they did that with a foot surgery too.
Yeah, and they've done it with multiple, where they actually gave everybody an incision, but only half of the people got the real surgery. But everyone thought they had the surgery. Everyone. But what they found is that the other half who actually just got an incision, and the knowledge that they'd gotten the surgery, even though all they'd gotten was an incision, they healed at a higher percentage than the people who got the real surgery. So it was almost.
So what is that, right?
Well,
what is that?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And that's what I've been talking about too.
Exactly.
So that, honestly, Jane, is where I've really been shifting modalities to tap into that.
Because you're empowering your patients.
Exactly. My goal as a doctor, as a teacher, my goal is not, it's funny, I'm like, I don't want to see you. Meaning, I don't want to see you as a patient. I want to see you as a friend.
Yes.
Which means I've done my job. I've given you things. So another thing I've been studying a lot lately, modality-wise, is the ability to move in the fascia. I've been studying that a lot.
That's very cool. Because that's so important.
So I've been
thinking about that
too.
So
infections, I've been studying autoimmunity and how to treat those and how to treat them naturally. And then a big one is also fascia and movement and healing all of our ailments through movement.
No, I love that. So what I actually love about how you answered that is it's not about a bunch of toys or the newest gadget or the newest.
Yeah, I know. They're fun.
They're fun.
But
and they're fun to go partake in. I have a friend who opened a small clinic here about a year ago. And he has a $60,000 red light bed that he's let me come in and partake of, and it's lovely. It's lovely.
So, I'm sure it is. And again, but I keep going back like in 10 years. Can I strap that thing on my back? I mean, I even go to musical instruments. I can't take my grand piano with me somewhere if I'm called out somewhere. You know what I mean? But I can't take my guitar. I can take my ukulele, right? It's like I'm part Hawaiian. That's how you gotta say it. My grandma would be proud, right?
No, that was perfect.
But it's like, so I'm trying to think like 10 years ahead. Where are we going? And can I use this modality? Can I strap it to my back and take it with me?
Yeah. No, I love that.
So
okay. So how do you explain to patients why sometimes the structure of body needs adjusting before herbs or supplements can work optimally? I almost think that we're answering all of these questions with what we're already talking about.
One thing though I would say to this, if you do not have nerve integration, if your nervous system is not functioning appropriately, when you make an adjustment, it allows for the nervous system. So kind of the old hose, garden hose. Let's say there's pressure on that garden hose and it's going to, well, if you give your plant, I have all these little apple saplings. If you give your plant fertilizer, if you don't have the flow of water, the flow going at 100%, it's going to hurt those plants. And so I think if you give supplements, you need to have nerve integrity. You need to have good health. The more health you have, the better the supplement works, the better the herbs work, the homeopathy. Okay.
Perfect. I love that. Okay. So here's the last one in this section. Is there a therapy people are skeptical of until they try it and then they're hooked?
For me, probably emotional stress release.
I know we've been talking about this since the very beginning.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised you said that because it's a consistent theme with the way you do your practice, the way you live your life, and the things that you teach your patients to empower them.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say back in the day would be chiropractic, but now it's definitely you guys have to find your true self. You're here on earth to get through the mud, the muck, and find your true self. And when you do, it
It's
doesn't mean you're not
brilliant.
going to have hard times. But
But
like talking to Janie before this, it's like once you will keep being drawn to your true self. Most of us put it to sleep. We have a hard time sleeping, some of us, but we actually put our true self to sleep.
yeah,
And if you can step into your true calling, your true self, that's why I'm here on earth. That is why I'm here on earth, to
right.
help people awaken that.
Right. No, and it's interesting because if you're watching this, you've been kind of following me these last couple of years, especially. I know I've been vague, but I've shared that I'm going through some really rough stuff and some tough changes, uh, without details. But of
Yeah.
course, when he got here and we haven't seen each other for a few months, I like laid it all out, and he was just like, oh, "Wow,
I'm so excited for her."
exactly."
You know? And that's how I look at it. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's about time.
No, but there's layers of stuff that needed to happen.
There are.
It wasn't just about time for one thing. There were so
No.
many layers, and
But I'm so excited.
I know.
It's just like, you guys, like, I see each challenge in life as an opportunity. It creates such an opportunity. And I always say this, like, what is this preparing me for? It's amazing.
Right.
Like, what is this challenge preparing me for? It's something great because it's a hard
Right.
challenge.
Well, and it's interesting because I've realized, and I mentioned this in last week's Sunday message. So we're at the middle of December of 2025. So if you're watching this in the future, if you go back a week, I'm going to probably drop this on Sunday, by the way.
Nice.
Because I think it's perfect. But I actually made a comment that I feel like, and I know many people can relate to this, all the things that I've been going through the last couple of years that have been almost soul crushingly the most difficult things I've ever been through in my entire life.
I agree.
Yeah. I feel like I'm now not just at the peak of this mountain, the hardness, but now I can feel myself. I can feel my nervous system start to relax. I can feel all these hard things that I've stepped into. I can now feel everything that's going to be coming at me with blessings and other things that I can bring out to people. And like to do these hard things is freaking hard. But I believe that that's why we're here. I believe we're here to experience. We're here to provide value for others, and we're here to take our soul into a remembering of who we are.
Yes.
So yeah. Okay. So all right.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of really fun questions, and then we're going to wind this one up. Okay. What is the funniest or most unexpected thing that has ever happened in your clinic?
I mean,
it's like, that's one of my favorite things with you is we always laugh about things.
Okay, I'm going to tell you guys this. This is kind of funny. All right. When I was a little kid, I'll tell this quickly. My bike got ran over. I just got a bike, and it wasn't even my bike. It was actually a hand-me-down, but it was my first bike after training well. So I had a yellow and black bike when I was 4 years old, and I rode it so much, the tires like came off of it.
Was it a banana seat bike?
No. This was just like a kind of a BMX bike. Had training wheels, took it off. I learned to ride. I rode it everywhere. My first bike I got after that was actually this blue Schwinn with chrome. It was phenomenal. Technically, it was a girl's bike. It was my sister's.
Though, right?
Exactly. Hand me down, solid. I still remember it. I parked it behind this. So I went over to this kid's house, hardly went over there, parked it behind in the driveway behind a vehicle. So, really interesting. Somebody comes in, the guy comes in, is yelling, "Who parked their bike behind me?" And he ran over my bike and destroyed it. My brand new bike. That was my brand new bike.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Heartbroken, but all the blame went upon me. Okay? And it was like, and I thought, as an adult, I thought, wouldn't you want to look behind before you back up the truck? If that was a child, you just killed the child. Okay? As an adult, but as a child, took all the blame. Okay. Fast forward 20 years. This is hilarious. Same guy. We'll just call him John. Okay? We're going to call him John. John walks into a clinic I was working at for another doctor when I was just starting out here in Utah. And I'm like, oh my gracious, I remember this guy. And I even asked him, I was like, do you remember when you ran over my bike? And he's like, what are you talking about? Doesn't even remember, right? He had completely put all the blame, guilt upon me.
On a kid.
Okay, on a kid. 5 years old, probably. Okay, so anyways, just so happened, whatever. I was fine. I was older. Sure, I should have parked it in a different spot. Great. You should have done your part. Anyways, so this was hilarious. So I started seeing him once in a while, adjusting him as a chiropractor. His son comes in, and this is, I'm going to tell it in such a way. So he's laying on his side, and his 17-year-old son, who is very into social, don't be socially awkward. This is so important. I don't want to be mortified and nobody and humiliate me or embarrass me. So his dad's right there. I lay him on my side and I go to adjust him and I go like this, and he passes gas like a horse. His son, and this was not like closed doors. This was like, and his son was mortified. And all I said was, Heavenly Father, you have a sense of humor, because like literally in that moment was kind of funny. It's kind of like all that kind of frustration that I had as a 5-year-old.
You didn't know you still had?
I still did. And in that moment, it just kind of was like, I'm okay.
It
like
literally released.
Human. And it literally released in that moment. And I was like, man, that was funny. And I just kind of laughed that frustration away.
Did he laugh too, or was he like embarrassed? I'm sure.
He just kind of was like,
oh man,
didn't say much, but his son was so embarrassed. And I think just, I was just like, man, Heavenly Father, you have a sense of humor, and that's what I needed to like let that go. He let it go. But I needed to really let that go and just be like, yep, it was a mistake. But from that, I learned I am so cautious about anybody behind me before I pull out. And it's a reminder. And that one, and then another lady, I got to tell this one, a lady who had cancer, she brought her friend in. She knew she was dying, but she wanted to bring her friend in. And non-paying patients are always the ones who have nothing vested. Does that make sense? Yep. They have no skin in the game. They don't want to be there. It's crazy. She came for her friend. So her friend that had cancer was one of my patients. She brought this friend, let's say her name was Jenny. She brought in Jenny. Jenny was having this crazy dizziness, and I said to Jenny, she was nursing, and I said, Jenny, you need to take this. I found a heavy metal toxicity. She was like, you're crazy. I don't want to take this, but whatever. And I was like, okay, will you take cilantro? I told her a prescription of cilantro to take, okay? It was dizziness because of heavy metals. She was nursing. Imagine that, okay? So she's like, you're crazy. This Dr. Nielsen, her friend who had cancer, we knew were going to die. She's just like, I'm just doing a service. So anyways, lo and behold, the lady's basically like, I'm never going to come back. And I was like, well, could you at least do what I asked? Just try it. Like, it's not going to hurt. Like if you take cilantro, food, right? It's food, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, she never came back. But her dizziness went away completely. She actually did the cilantro, detox heavy metals enough. Her dizziness never came back. But that's what I found over the years is people who aren't vested, who don't actually come seeking to be healed. They just like somebody force them. Mm-hmm. Happens sometimes with husbands. I usually just like, there's no reason, like we're wasting each other's time, but
no, that's
so those are kind of
no, that's completely interesting. Okay, so what remedy or tool have you used on yourself recently that made you think, okay, this is pretty magical?
So one of the things I always use, my go-to, and we talked about this in the last videos, I always try to do a trifecta. So I usually try to do immunity, like if I'm getting sick or my kids are getting sick, they know so I do a trifecta. I usually do some type of a vitamin. I'll almost always do immunity boost. Instead of Lomation, I just do immunity boost.
What has Lomation in it?
Right. No, I do Lomation, but I do it in the form of immunity boost. And then I usually do a homeopathic, anise, barberry. And usually if I can do those things, or else sometimes I'll use like silver. And if it's upper respiratory, I'll do silver. And if I can't nebulize it, I'll just breathe it in and just bring it into my bronchioles or up into my nose. And I'll usually do 3. So like colloidal silver, immunity boost, and homeopathic. So we use like Flu Immune. And almost always, like I can tell it's going to be a doozy, and I can usually knock it out within hours. And same with my children.
Yeah,
And I'll usually
I
do that
love
every
that.
hour. I'll usually do that every hour, and you know it's going to be a doozy, but there's an
Yep.
inflammatory state of infection.
Mhm.
And if I can catch it in that inflammatory state, it will never go into a full-blown infection.
No, and I love that because I get to experience that on a regular basis with people
Right.
when they discover like the immunity boost or the
Mhm.
LDM.
Yep.
Like there's a guy who found our products like a year ago. He has a little daughter who's 5, and it took him a year to use it. She got strep. She gets strep
Mm.
every year.
Oh,
And he texted me and just said, "Hey, this is a common thing for her every year.
right.
And I have this. You sent me this a year ago." And overnight, her strep, she had no fever. She didn't
Right.
throw up for the first time. And she was literally back to her normal self the next morning.
Exactly.
And so this is where, to me, this magical thing that happens.
It's just magic.
It's because he was stunned.
Right.
He was like, I didn't believe you at first. And that's why he'd said, well, people, they don't know how to trust herbs on this level where you kind of go, then you do, and you go, oh, this is kind of magical. Yeah.
Magic.
I love that. Okay. So if you weren't a chiropractor or naturopath, what completely different career would you have chosen?
Finance.
Finance.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, I love investments, and I still do that. I love, and I'm kind of already doing that. I get the best of both worlds. I actually am an entrepreneur, right? I mean, I'm maybe more entrepreneur now than I am even chiropractor. I don't know, but I'm the both, and that's what I love. I love business.
I love that.
Business. I love investments. I love real estate.
So markets and economy and
I love it.
Diversification, all that makes sense
Like
to
I
you.
love
Dude,
all
that's
the
why we're
things that are
friends.
happening like
Yes.
in the world, and some people aren't gonna like this, but I like trying to understand tariffs and bonds and stocks, and all that stuff is very fascinating to me. In fact, I was in Chicago at a seminar, and I remember going to the Commodities and Exchange, and I was looking there, and I'm like, what am I doing chiropractic? Why am I doing this? And it was kind of did I want to go and shift? And this was already, I'd been in practice for like a year or two, maybe even more. And I remember just like, man, I really love this world of doing finance and money and making money and helping people with money and strategizing money and real estate and all that and business. And then I went back to the seminar, and this was where I was supposed to be.
I don't think I knew that about you.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I love business. I think if you want to grow, and you're a small business owner.
Yeah, but I feel the same way. A couple of weeks ago, I was kind of on here talking to people about this cycle, this financial cycle we're in, this big bubble we're in right now. And it's not just a banking and housing bubble, it's an everything bubble this time.
Correct.
And it's not anything to be scared about. It's something to be just aware and prepared so that you're not. And I love this. I'm the same. I'm all this stuff interests me, not to the point where I'm going to go do financial stuff. No, but I think it's wow, that's so cool. Okay, we could talk about that for a while. Okay. What's the most important habit you personally struggle with the most? Okay. That you personally struggle with. Where is Dr. Nielsen not perfect? That is that question.
I mean, I feel like sometimes I don't eat perfectly, you know.
That doesn't really count. Sorry, because that's quite obvious. We were talking about that earlier, where you have to enjoy.
It's kind of like my area, though. Sometimes I enjoy more than I probably should. I mean, I don't know.
That maybe is not a fair question.
Shucks. I'm trying to think. Like I try to be pretty aware, and I work on myself so much. I'm constantly trying to hone myself, but I don't feel like. Where am I not? I feel like there's certain traditions. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think what I've broken. Broken meaning broken patterns. But what am I currently struggling? What am I working on? And it's more of a working.
I think it's more like the question is it's a human piece in you that's not perfect that people can relate to.
Oh, I'm insecure. I mean, this is hilarious, but people don't think of me as an insecure person, but and I've worked on this, and I'm not that way anymore. So I guess maybe not as much, but
but that's good.
But there's every once in a while it kind of reverts back to that, and people wouldn't think that, because if they met me, they'd be like, hear me speaking, they're like, Kate, you're not insecure. I am, though, and I guess maybe that kind of keeps me in a sense of I constantly need to progress and rely upon God. And so my insecurity relies upon God. And I realize that I'm mortal and I'm human and I have these faults, and I tell my kids, I'm like, man, I'm so sorry. I could have handled that so much better. But I think that used to be something where I used to put on a front because of my insecurities. Now it's kind of like, you know me, who I am. And it is, you get what you get. And people used to ask, like, is he for real? I had people ask, like, is he for real? Does he really like love? Does he really like get that excited? And I really do, like, that's me.
No, it's totally true.
But I would say, in times past, not really much anymore. There's just like, it's almost completely gone, but I would say there's still a little bit of that.
There's a little human piece to you in there.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just kidding. Okay, one more question. After 10 years of doing these conversations with me, what is something you've learned from our little video on air kind of banter from either herbalism or whatever you use in your own practice? Like, what is, okay, let's do herbalism that you now use in your own practice, besides the immunity boost. Like, all these 10 years, what would you say?
As far as herbalism?
Yeah.
Well, I'll say one thing. The first thing I would say is we started out this way, but it is so important to have good friends and good people that you care about, appreciate. You can feel that love as friends, as brother and sister, if you will. We call each other like family, right? She's
Totally
like my
true.
sister.
Totally true.
That's the number one thing. The next thing with herbalism, I'm trying to think.
Well, I will tell you, the light went on for you when we first met, and I was talking about lomatium.
And yeah, that's immunity. But lomatium, that is one of the key herbs that I've learned in the past 10 years that stood out as a home run hitter, right?
Yeah, and it's still part of your,
it is. It moves the needle so much if people can learn that herb. One other thing I will say this, and I don't know yet, and I'm still researching it, is, well, I won't share that. There's some other herbs, but the lomatium is the most important. Now you
piqued their interest and mine.
Well, I'll tell you, but lomatium it's something that I really believe that we've known more and more about it in this time. Why? Because it's such an important herb for this time right now.
Right. Modern, where we find ourselves as humanity, and kind of coming back full circle.
And with is happening, what's going to happen, you need to know it. You need to use it. You need to be able to experience it.
If you're going to get the rash, get it and get it over with.
That's probably one of the biggest things that moves so much for infections, and I've talked about infections. And then, that's probably one of the biggest things.
Perfect. All right. Well, I think that, let me see what it says. We've been going for almost an hour.
Have we really?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, if you're still here.
Thank you.
Wow. Amazing. Hopefully you're able to get some good stuff.
Maybe you were listening to this in your car. Maybe you're listening to this on your walk. But we hope you got a couple of nuggets and maybe a chuckle out of your passing gas story. Which is fantastic.
Oh man,
still
look back on
thanks for tuning in today, guys, and thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely, it's been a
pleasure. I love that you're in my life as my friend. So 10 years, here we are, 10 years, and I hope you guys have a brilliant rest of your day, and we will see you next time. Do you want to shut that off? See what it says?